So what's a really versatile piece of furniture that we can use in our home? Hi everyone, it's Carol from Discover Interior Design, and I'm so glad you're here. Well, in this video, we're going to be talking about ottomans, and you're going to learn about the unique characteristics of ottomans and what to think about when we want to use this versatile piece of furniture in our homes. So let's get started. So what began as a low seating area during the Ottoman Empire, the ottoman has now evolved into a very versatile piece of furniture that's still used as a seating area, but also is used as a footrest or even a coffee table. And there are some unique things about an ottoman that makes it different than other pieces of furniture. So if we were to describe the ottoman, we could look at that and notice that it's almost completely upholstered, if not all upholstered. We may see little tiny peaks of the little feet of the legs at the bottom, or we may not see the legs at all. And we can almost describe an ottoman almost like a box, where it's this form, this completely solid form. And it kind of has this firmer upholstered look to it. An ottoman may have casters on the bottom, so wheels that we can use to swivel and move the ottoman around easily. And it may come in a variety of shapes and forms, so square forms or rectangular forms, oval forms, or even circular forms. And nowadays, our ottomans are used for a variety of purposes. We use them as places to sit on, or places to use as a table, or even places just to rest our feet. And ottomans, like other pieces of furniture, have similarities to other pieces of furniture. And so, say for instance, a bench. How would we describe a bench differently than we would describe an ottoman? Usually with a bench, we can see the legs of a bench. A bench may have a cushioned seating area, but we can usually see the framework, the legs of that bench, whereas an ottoman may be completely upholstered. And then what about a footstool? Because a footstool we can use in front of a chair, and an ottoman we can use in front of a chair as well. I think it just goes back to how large that piece of furniture is. An ottoman will just be larger, usually the width of a chair and maybe much deeper. And it goes back to the upholstery, where an ottoman will be almost completely upholstered, whereas a footstool, we may see the framework, the wood framing, or maybe it's made out of metal. And what would be the difference between a pouf and an ottoman? Well, a pouf would be much more pillowy, whereas an ottoman would be much more structured and much more firmer in how it's upholstered and constructed. And if we want to use an ottoman in our home, what size should we look for? Well, it really depends on the use, whether you're going to be using it as a footstool, as a coffee table, or even just as another seating area. So if you wanted to buy an ottoman and use it as a footrest, say at a chair, then most likely you would look for an ottoman that's part of a set, something that goes with a specific style of chair, because then that ottoman will be the same width of the chair and probably the same height, or maybe a little bit lower than the height of the chair seat, so that everything kind of flows together and works together well. Or what happens if you want to buy an ottoman to use as a coffee table? Well, this is where you would want to take a look at your sofa and ideally maybe find an ottoman that is 2/3 the width of your sofa. And then the cool thing about an ottoman is that they are deeper, so that's kind of nice. So there's plenty of space to put a tray or to place books or anything else on that ottoman. And then you'd want to choose an ottoman that's low enough that makes sense with the height of your seating area on your sofa. Whether it's the same height or maybe just an inch or two lower would be ideal. And then if you want to use an ottoman as a seating area, just an extra area that people can sit down on, then you would want to think about finding an ottoman that would kind of be around the same height as everything else in your room. So maybe that would mean trying to find an ottoman that would be the same height as your sofa or chairs in your living room. And if you wanted to have an ottoman, say, in your bedroom, or say even in a wardrobe where you have all your clothing, you would want to have an ottoman that's maybe 18 inches high or 45.72 centimeters high, something that's low enough that you can easily sit on and put your shoes on. And if you wanted to place it in front of your bed, I would choose one that's maybe not as wide as your bed, as a little less wide. And then how much space does an ottoman need? So when you're planning the layout of all of your furniture in your room, what do you need to set aside for an ottoman? Well, it goes back to how that ottoman is going to be used. So if you wanted to use your ottoman as a coffee table, we would need to make sure that there is a certain amount of space in between your sofa and your ottoman so that it's easy to move in and out of that sofa area, but also it's easy enough to grab things off of the ottoman. And in general, you can kind of go for the measurement of 18 inches or 45.72 centimeters in between your sofa and your ottoman, which provides just enough room for someone to get in and out of the couch, and then the ottoman's close enough for you to put things on the ottoman or grab something off of the ottoman. And to make sure that people can move around the ottoman easily, you may want to set aside maybe 18 inches or 45.72 centimeters, or maybe even 30 inches, such as 76.2 centimeters around the ottoman, so there's plenty of room for people to move around easily. And in this example, we can see that that ottoman is the coffee table, and there are two sofas on either side, and there's actually probably more than enough space around that ottoman for people to move around. I probably would adjust it a little bit, maybe move in the sofas a little bit closer to the ottoman so it's easier to grab things off of the ottoman. But in general, that's a nice example of seeing enough space around the ottoman so that everyone can move in and out of that space really easily. And then if you have a chair with an ottoman, you'd want to make sure that there is some space in between the ottoman and the chair. And I would kind of start with 12 inches or 30.48 centimeters and leaving that amount in between the chair and the ottoman. So there's kind of room to get in there, but also that the ottoman's close enough for you to easily put your legs up on the ottoman. And then you'd want to make sure that there is room around the ottoman, on the other side of the ottoman, for someone to move around easily. And maybe that would mean 30 inches or 76.2 centimeters at least around the ottoman so someone can move around there easily. And then if you wanted to use an ottoman as a seating area, ideally it's always nice if there is 36 inches or 91.44 centimeters out from the edge of that ottoman to accommodate someone sitting on the ottoman, and someone moving by them wouldn't impede or intrude on that space. And in this example, we can see there are two ottomans that are opposite the sofa, and they are next to the coffee table. So ideally there would be 18 inches or 45.72 centimeters in between the coffee table and those ottomans. And then we can see in this example that there's plenty of space on the back sides of the ottomans as well as on the right side of that right ottoman for people to move around easily. On the left ottoman, we can see that left ottoman is also next to kind of a side table. And so we would want to make sure that we have 18 inches in between that ottoman and that side table. So someone could just kind of squeeze in there and get over to the seating area. And what are some things to think about when we're thinking about color and fabric and the shape and even the style of an ottoman? Well, what I always go back to is thinking about repetition and variety. So making sure that each of your rooms has some repetition in it to help create a cohesive look to that space, but also that there's variety too. So an ottoman is a great opportunity to provide both repetition and variety to your space. So for example, you could create a cohesive look to your space if you are using a set, a chair and ottoman set, and you're using the same fabric on both of those, and right away that creates a cohesive look. Or maybe you could change it up a little bit and use a similar color. Or maybe that ottoman could even have a pattern on it that has some similar colors in there. But you could go the opposite and bring in kind of an accent color and something a little bit different. And maybe you repeat that color somewhere else in the room, so it kind of helps to tie everything together. And ottomans are available in a variety of styles. And so you would want to choose something that would make sense with your design style, whether that's something very traditional and maybe you choose an ottoman that's tufted. And that even brings in a sense of luxury too, to have something that's kind of tufted. Or maybe you want to choose an ottoman that goes with your more contemporary style. So something that has a little bit cleaner and simpler lines. And then when you choose the shape of the ottoman, think about repetition and variety again. Yes, it's nice to repeat different shapes and forms in your room, but the ottoman might be an opportunity where you bring in a different shape. Rather than using another rectangular shape, why not bring in a circular shape or an oval shape, just to kind of add some variety to the space? So what are some reasons to choose an ottoman instead of another type of piece of furniture? Well, one thing is that because it is all upholstered, that brings in more soft textures into your space and the opportunity to think about color and pattern. And because an ottoman is kind of this box-like form, solid box-like form, it kind of adds some variety to a space where you may have a lot of furniture that is in the traditional sense of a table with 4 legs, and it's an open frame-like sort of design to that piece of furniture. Well, it might be nice to use something that's a little bit more solid, just to kind of mix things up a little bit. And the other cool thing about an ottoman is that it can serve more than one purpose. It can be a place to sit down, but it also can provide storage. And I'd love to find out from you if you have an ottoman in your home and why you decided to choose an ottoman and how you use it in your home. So please share your design experience in the comments. And if you have any other suggestions that we can use about thinking about using an ottoman in our home, please share that in the comments as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.